Having a child is one of the most exciting things, and looking forward to once they arrive. What are they going to look like? What color hair? When are they going to say their first word? And watching them take their first steps, it's all exciting and all expected, as most parents would. However, it's not always the case. I have two children. My firstborn son, exactly how it was. He was hitting milestones right after another quickly. My second son, unfortunately, he was diagnosed with a rare syndrome. And this didn't happen until he was about 15 months or so. It was a long journey, and it still is. So let me introduce what my son was diagnosed with. So it was a long journey after his birth, which he had to be induced due to restricted uterine growth, which means he stopped growing, and they had to induce me to get him out to save him. Once he was born, it was a domino effect, let's put it that way, of many different things. My son had needed emergency blood transfusions, emergency surgeries, all due to his syndrome, which is called DYRK1A syndrome or DYRK1A syndrome. And it's okay, I'm sure you've never heard of it, because neither did I until my son was diagnosed. So there are a lot of different syndromes, and DYRK1A stands for Dual Specificity Tyrosine Phosphorylation Regulated Kinase 1A. Mouthful, right? Of course. I have learned it, and it's taken some time. But due to that syndrome, it actually comes with over 100 different symptoms that a child or adult may experience due to the syndrome. So it is located on a genetic basis on the 21st chromosome, which is responsible for neurological development. And unfortunately, that affects our walking, our talking, and lots of other areas. The complications that my son has handled, I want to say, because thankfully, like a little warrior, he has surpassed all of them and still surprises me on a daily basis. However, my son is now 6 years old, and I still never heard his first words. I hope I do one day. He does not eat by mouth. He is fed via G-tube, which is known as a gastrostomy tube, which is medically and surgically placed into his stomach, where he will be fed a specific formula that goes directly into his stomach, so he doesn't actually eat. And I am so thankful for it, because that's what's keeping him here. My son also has developed seizures, which is the only thing basically that they let me know of at his diagnosis. So he was diagnosed back in 2018, and he was the 222nd person in the entire world to ever be diagnosed with DYRK1A syndrome. Yes, a shock. The doctors and geneticists and their team had specifically told me, good luck, because we don't know anything about this except for the other X amount of documented cases, and it's really just what the parents tell us. So here's a Facebook page. Feel free to join, and good luck. You'll probably learn more from the other parents than what us doctors know. So when I say it's been a long journey, it absolutely has. However, this is why I like to include this in different ways to bring awareness to DYRK1A syndrome or DYRK1A syndrome. It is extremely important because most of us have heard of AIDS, the breast cancer walk, spina bifida, all these different things. And specifically, most people have probably heard of Down syndrome, which is a huge genetic disorder that, believe it or not, actually occurs with the 21st chromosome, just like DYRK1A, but only it's the 21st chromosome being duplicated. So they have a lot of similarities as far as what their medical complications could be, but specifically facial features. So just like you can tell a person with Down syndrome, you can kind of tell somebody who has DYRK1A syndrome. Although there are two different looks, it's basically because of a distinction in the genetic mutation, which again also needs to be studied. So Bringing awareness to any of those syndromes or diseases are highly important to find out information, because research and medical documents and getting roped in with all these different specialists and doctors costs a lot of money. And even in years of funding and research doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come up with an answer or any cure. However, it's very important to try and better the lives of these children or adults and their families who are affected by the constant therapies, daily doctor appointments, insane amount of medical paperwork and everything else, plus the stress. It's hard. You want to be able to give your child the most amazing life ever and do what you can for them. But when you have a child who unfortunately can't speak, my son is nonverbal, they can't tell you what they're feeling. They can't tell you if they're hungry or if they're in pain. So it's kind of a guessing game. And unfortunately, communication is rough. So this is why we bring awareness. The national day that I guess our syndrome family has come up with is August 21st. So August 21st is National Dirk 1A Awareness Day. And we have come up with the color orange for our awareness.